from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It's Wednesday afternoon and we are gonna get started on a Sister Wives video. But before we do, if you're interested in finding a good water bottle this summer to keep your water cold while you're out at the park, playing sports, or traveling, or even hiking, check out the Coldest water bottle. These come in all different sizes. This one is actually 21 ounces and it's perfect for it's a perfect size for on the go. They have larger ones too if you want something bigger. I love having this one by my desk and it definitely keeps my water cold for up to 36 hours. Check out my description box below and you can find out how to purchase them. If you use code CRYSTAL at the end, you can get 10% off. Now let's get started on what's going on with Kody Brown. So I've been on this hiatus with Sister Wives, but I was like, there's been a lot of things that have been coming out recently. And we should talk about some of the stuff that we've covered. We've covered some of the stuff related to like their money issues. So if you are not familiar with my channel, this will be fun for you. If you are, this will be an overview. But Kody and Robin Brown recently took out $150,000 on their house, like an equity line of credit. And now you have Christine Brown, who is one of the other wives, actually fundraising through her Facebook group where she sells leggings and clothing through LLR. She told her fans recently that she was looking for $50,000 for a surgery for one of her kids. Now, I'm starting to wonder if that's true. I don't know yet, but now there was another thing that happened in the state of Nevada, and this is actually related to Christine and Kody's son, Payton. So let's back up. This family is not the best with financial matters, at all. They moved from Las Vegas to Flagstaff, Arizona. They did not have any of their houses sold. They purchased a ton of property. They ended up buying a house. Then they had 3 rentals. Now they've bought a second house. They have 4 lots that still remain empty. They have all kinds of debt. They have all declared bankruptcy at some point in time. And there's always some sort of grift going on with the family needing cash. And this one is another hefty bill. So given the fact that there's been a lot of stuff that's happened with the money situation with the family, we should probably talk about what happened with Payton and his dad, Kody. Now, this incident only involved Payton, but because it was actually Kody's car and it was Kody that entrusted Payton to drive the car, the women that were involved in this situation actually had to file suit against both of them. So according to the court documents, which were filed in the 8th District Court in Nevada, they claim that Esmeralda, Stephanie Gonzalez, and Mariela Flores were driving in Las Vegas, and Payton was actually driving right behind them. Here's what happens. They say on October 12th, 2017, they're driving and they're operating and they're driving down this Cheyenne Avenue. They approach an intersection at Bassler Street in northern Las Vegas, and they say a vehicle operated by Stephanie was driving and Mariela was the passenger, and they were saying that Payton was actually driving right behind them and was in fact tailgating them. And they say that an emergency pulled out onto Cheyenne Avenue, and so what happens is all of the traffic around them move over to make way for this actual vehicle. And unfortunately, while everyone stopped to pull over, Payton actually did not, and he ended up rear-ending them, which then caused a crash. And so he crashes into them, and then their car crashes into the one in front of them, and both of the ladies obtain injuries. They also say that it caused such extensive problems that it limited their recreational, household, and vocational activities that they perform, and it caused them to lose wages, loss of earning capacity. They were physically impaired. They had some issues emotionally as well as a result, and they were seeking that the Browns pay them for that. They say that because of a statute within the state of Nevada that says that you can't follow a car that closely, he broke the law, so therefore they are not at fault, and it's his responsibility to pay them for those damages. They also say that everything that they had obtained was over $15,000 as a result of that collision. They end up having to file a lawsuit because they say that he was issued a citation, but he never actually responded. And so they say the violation was a cause of the legal of the plaintiff's injuries. So basically, he follows way too closely. They issue a citation for following too closely because it was his fault. Then he's also required to pay for anything that happened to them during that accident. And then they also included Kody because it was Kody's car that he was driving. And they say that Kody entrusted his car to someone who was either incompetent or inexperienced. So in this case, Peyton was young, probably not as experienced with driving because Kody trusted him with his car. They also included Kody on it. They didn't respond. They are issued a ticket, and so then they have to take them to court to issue for damages, and they were requesting that they be reimbursed for X amount of dollars per person. So that was actually filed last summer. Now, this year, like, Kody has been like scrambling for money. He did that thing where he was like running in with Mary about a month ago, maybe 2. And he was like, Mary, I need you to sign this, and I need you to sign that, and I need you to sign this. And then he's like super stressed out, and he's saying that he's really stressed out. Now, this actually happened at the end of May, so I don't know if this was like what he was stressed out about. It could be because this actually is not in their favor at all, because they went to arbitration. So because of the laws, it was not disputed that Peyton was at fault because of the way that it was written and because of the way that he was cited for the accident as it being his fault. So they had no reason, they couldn't dispute that aspect of it. So they had to look at the overall totality of what happened. And so the arbitrator decides that according to what happened on the October 12th, 2017, that it says, based on the totality of the evidence presented, the plaintiffs met their burden of proving that their completed medical treatment was causally related to the subsequent incident with the cars. Therefore, Stephanie and Mariella were awarded damages. So they gave Stephanie, they have to pay Stephanie $87,74.28, so $8,774.28 for her expenses, for her medical expenses. Mariella is owed $13,521. And not only that, because of the consequent injuries and how it's impacted their lives, they're also required to pay Stephanie $3,000 and Mariella $4,500. And they also have to pay the attorney's fees for Mariella and for Stephanie. In total, they will be having to fork over almost $35,000 for this accident. So Christine's got kids with money problems, right? So you've got Peyton and Kody need to come up with $35,000. They have to pay this. Now, typically in car accidents, if you have insurance will cover this kind of stuff. So it's unclear why they had to go this route. Like, I don't know if the insurance company just denied it, because typically your insurance will have liability on it or will have, something on it that would cover this. Unfortunately, some insurances policies, people just avoid having collision, so they only have limited liability. And in that case, this could be out of pocket because they aren't covering collision. I really don't know. I don't know why they would have had to go to court here to get this settled. And they're not suing like the insurance company, they're suing the actual people. So this is like against Peyton and Kody, and they're now on the hook for $35,000. And it makes me wonder, like, they are so bad with money, right? They're always in a money pinch. Kody is always making crappy financial decisions. You've got Christine literally grifting you guys say she's grifting on her Facebook page, selling her MLM clothing to make money. And she's saying she has to come up with $50,000. Like, I'm starting to sense a pattern. They either don't have proper insurance or they just completely underinsure themselves, because Christine claimed that she needs $50,000 for the down payment for one of her kids to have a procedure. And I was like floored, because so many of you in the comments were like, wait a minute, that doesn't even make sense. How could she possibly owe this much money for a down payment? But then some of you were like, well, there's some really basic policies you can get that are basically like basic medical care and emergency care, but like doesn't cover basic anything else. And so you have a very, very low premium and then really, really high deductibles and insurances that won't cover these types of surgeries. And a lot of you who've had procedures similar to what Isabella said have said that it costs far more than what they're coming up with. So it makes sense to a point. But if they're underinsuring themselves, having to come out with, so are they like, my thought process here is they're underinsuring themselves. Now, this is just my assumption based on what I'm seeing here too, is they're underinsuring themselves to avoid the premiums. But then when accidents happen or when like medical issues arise, they're ending up having to foot the bill because they haven't properly secured the insurance to protect themselves. And is this because they just don't have cash because Kody is so inept in planning, because they live outside of their means? I mean, do we need to talk about their houses? They have a $900,000 home that they live in, he and Robin. Miss Thang, Christine, her house is over $550,000. You've got Mary living in a home that has like 5,000 square feet, and she's single, by the way, and her rent is over $4,500 a month. And then you have Janelle. Janelle is probably the most fiscally conservative of all of them. But if 1 out of 4 is fiscally conservative and the rest of them are being financially reckless, you're kind of screwed. Not to mention, they're on a show where they took a massive pay cut. A lot of you guys have always said, well, how much is it that they make? Back like 2 seasons ago, in order to stay on air, they actually slashed their per season totals. So at one point in time, at the peak of this show, they were making about $180,000 each for all 5 of them. Now they make $180,000 per family. And if you divide that by 5, it ends up being around $36,000 each per season. That's not a lot of money when you consider that all of them have like 1 million kids except for Mary. Christine's got 6 kids. You've got Janelle has 6 kids. Now, some of the kids are of legal age, so they don't have to cover them, but a lot of them still have minor children. And Robin has 5 kids. So they're not making a ton of money from the show. They make terrible financial decisions. He drives an Infiniti. He also has this $900,000 house. He has $800,000 worth of property. He's behind on the taxes on one piece of the property. And he's been behind on taxes for some of the homes and have had to pay late fees. And some of the property was actually paid with these filings through a LLC, which are like a balloon payment, and he pays interest only. So I'm starting to sense this trend with Kody, is that he buys everything with the lowest interest rate, with the lowest policies, with the least coverage, and then they constantly are in this storm of accidents happen, they don't have the insurance to cover it, someone needs a procedure and their insurance isn't covering it, so they have to pay for it out of pocket. And they're constantly scrambling for money, which then has Miss Christine online grifting and telling people to feel sorry for her to buy clothes. And now you're in a situation with a car accident, which if you had the proper insurance would be covering this. It makes no sense to me. And not like we don't even have to talk about all their bankruptcies because I already brought that up. They've all gone through it except for Robin. Robin, her time is coming, I'm sure. So what do you think about this? Like, why is it that they are so bad with money? Is it because there's too many kids? Is it because they don't have real jobs? Because all of you guys are like, what do they do for work? And I don't know. I literally don't know. Besides Mary with the LLR and her I have no idea what they do. $180,000 for 5 adults is not enough money for 5 households or for 4 households. That's not enough money. That's like poverty level. And if you look at the total number of kids that are in these families, if that was their sole income. So they have to be doing things besides the show to be affording this lifestyle, and I don't know what that is. They don't promote things on their social medias. They don't have sponsorships that I can tell. So I really don't know how they're making money here beyond being involved with these multi-level marketing schemes. But Kody needs to start figuring out what to do, because once this show is over, they're going to be back in bankruptcy. They're going to be back on food stamps, and I'm not trying to like minimize or shame them for that, but because they're not planning financially, it's just going to become another issue where the public is helping them. And this is a humongous fraudulent part of polygamy because they have too many children. They're not legal wives, so they end up getting welfare, which pays for these families. and the husbands get to claim all of it. And it's just a big fat scam. It takes away the need from the people who actually need the help. I want to know what your thoughts are. What do you think about them not having the right insurance? What do you think about them constantly asking for money? And what do you think about the fact that it had to go to court in order for them to get paid? These poor women, it sounds like they had pretty significant issues that required extensive therapy and still causes them issues to this day. I mean, I feel bad that they had to take it this far. Tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. Bye, guys.